everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is such a special evening. We are here to celebrate an amazing initiative, to look at what a very special man who has put together to try to change his part of the world, that he had seen a need that needed to be filled, and that he went ahead and did it. And we will be hearing a lot more about that. My name is Carol Pineau. I'm a journalist. I've specialized in Africa for more than 20 years and have a show called Africa USA Now that looks at current events at the intersection of Africa and the US and works towards engagement between Africa and the US. And engagement is what we're really looking at tonight. How can we engage with Mondiant initiative and really help to send refugees to universities, give opportunities, and the kinds of things that Dogon has really been able to do. Now, the first thing that I want to clear up, because there may be some confusion, it is the Mondiant initiative, but we call him Dogon. And this is affectionately, he says it's his preference. Now, some people say, is it Dagon? Is it Dogon? What is it? Just think of it this way. You could say, Dogon, I should have been reading his book. That's how you say it. And we will be hearing from him today. This evening is about fundraising and friendship, getting to know each other as we've been doing, but also getting to know Dogon, Claude, and the people involved in the Mondiant initiative. And we'll be spending some time meeting them. And today, the schedule, we're going to hear from the chairman of the board first, and then Dogon will be talking. You'll hear more about his work and the initiative. And then we'll have a fireside chat. Well, there's no fireside, but a stage side chat, whatever we want to call it, here with Dogon and with Claude, who is here and is one of the recipients of the initiative. And then we'll have some closing remarks and a chance again to chat and engage. Again, it's about friendship and fundraising, so we want to do both. You will see, just in case anybody slips out of here early, I don't know why you would, but in the back there are the 2 flip charts, and you should sign those, put your name on it, and check off the things where you want to engage. How do you want to engage? And we'll be talking about ways to engage later on. And the one thing that I should say, so that none of you worry about it, is you will all get a book on your way out today. It is a fantastic book. I recently, actually, Bill, who very kindly had asked me to come tonight, and thank you, Bill, had dropped it off at my house, and I was sort of like, okay, well, I have to read it. It's like for work, And then I'm reading, like totally engrossed in it. So it's really a great book, and I'm sure you will love it. You will each get one tonight. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but my neighbor would like one, and my friend would like one, and my kid would like one. Don't worry, you can also buy them. And if you want to get more, now that would be like a $20 donation, but why not just round up to 50? And it's just so much easier. So we will have an opportunity, and you can do that. You see the QR code on all of these here. On the table, they're pretty much everywhere. You can go on that and you can get the book, or you can just on the desk as you're leaving, you can order a book there. So with that, let's get started. So Jeff Jamar is the chairman of the board of Mondiant Initiative, and Jeff is going to tell us how a mechanical engineer that owns and operates his own business in Minnesota ended up volunteering at refugee camps in Uganda and Rwanda, and then became so enamored with what Mondiant is doing that you then became the chairman of the board. So come and tell us how that all happened.
Thanks, Carol. Can I see a show of hands for everyone that knows Bill Fanjoy? Bill, thank you for inviting me to your party. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This is just fantastic. And thanks in advance for caring about refugees. It means a lot to us. Before I get into our prepared remarks, someone in this audience is celebrating a 40th birthday. It's my nephew, Alex, and he's right back there. And the only reason I'm announcing it, Alex, is because last night, in honor of his birthday, he put together a fundraising thing on his Facebook page. And as of about noon today, I haven't checked, but it started last night. As of noon today, he raised over $500 for Mondiant Initiative. So thank you. And everybody say happy birthday, Alex. So 5 years ago, I volunteered at a refugee camp in Rwanda, the Nabaheki refugee camp. And that's how I first got into this. I joined a group in Minnesota that had gone to a couple refugee camps. And boy, when I showed up there, I was reminded of a couple of things. One is, no matter where you go in the world, there is loads and loads of talent. But sometimes, and particularly in a refugee camp, there isn't much opportunity. And that really resonated with me. The other part that resonated with me is most of my charity up until then had been US-based. Maybe it was a cancer society, maybe it was a local food shelf, maybe it was some other scholarship program in the Twin Cities area where I'm from. But I thought, there's 8 billion of us, we're all in this together. We really are. Why aren't we reaching out worldwide? We're all in this together. So I hope later tonight you'll make that decision to join us in this effort. At that camp 5 years ago, one of the people that joined us on the trip was Mondiant Dogon. At the time, he was going as a volunteer. So picture a bunch of people from Minneapolis that had flown together, and then there was this one guy from New York City that had flown in. Well, who the heck is this guy? Well, so we met right away, and I started to hear his story about he literally grew up, and you'll read the book and get the story, but grew up in a refugee camp, and then through a matter of, intelligence and sheer will and perseverance, got a college degree in Rwanda, and then through the help of a donor, got a master's degree at NYU. And here he was shortly, he was, 25, 26 at the time. He was already going to camps in Rwanda and giving back. And boy, that's very, very inspirational. So then jump ahead 3 years later, we get through this COVID thing a little bit, and I get a call from Dogon, and I says, you remember me? Yeah, of course I remember you. Inspirational, Mondiant Dogon. He says, well, I've decided to really amplify my giving back efforts by creating the Mondiant Initiative. And the purpose of Mondiant Initiative is to help other refugees bridge that gap between getting maybe a 9th to 12th grade education in the refugee camp, but no opportunity to go to college because there's no scholarship available. I want to help bridge that gap. Would you be willing to join the board and help me? And I reminded him I'm a mechanical engineer. I don't know anything about this stuff, but absolutely, yeah, we'll jump in and we'll learn. We'll all figure it out. Well, so have our founder live the experience. He is an expert. And I believe that whenever you're doing some kind of international charity, you better have people on the ground that really live it, so we're not pushing bad ideas on them. We want that to come from the people that really need it, and he's the real deal. So in the last year and a half, then I helped him get this thing going, and we got our 501(c) about 14 months ago, so we could start accepting donations, funding scholarships, and so on. It turns out for $6,000, you can pay for tuition, room and board, a laptop, and then other wraparound services that we do for the students there to make sure they're successful. There's more to it than just, okay, here's the tuition, good luck. We have people on the ground that are helping with that. $6,000, can pay for a year of college or tech school, either one. So tonight, we're just hoping that people will want to step up, donate, volunteer, both, sign up on the sheets back there. We'd appreciate it. And with that, I want to introduce poet, scholar, author, humanitarian, and speaker of 6 languages. In fact, I think English is his 4th. It's barely my 1st. Mondiant Dogon, come on up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff, for the wonderful introduction. Thank you. I'm so happy. And thank you, Carol, for, being MC of the event, tonight's event. Yeah, I can't tell you how happy I am. And take this picture. Imagine 6 years ago, I was somewhere in refugee camp with no food, with no shoes, no clothes, 6 years ago. And here I'm standing on the podium at a very beautiful building called National Press Club with an amazing, smart, beautiful people who want to change the world. So thank you so much for showing up tonight. Yeah, I was born in a rural area of the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the North Kivu, one of the most dangerous places for human being on the entire planet. I grew up there. I was born in 1992, and life was beautiful. I was like a typical Congolese cattle owner. My dad had cows. He was the chief of village, well-respected man, and life was beautiful. So drinking milk, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have running water, but yeah, life was beautiful. I saw those of us who were old enough, they took turns into working in the farm, and young or children, they hear or sit around their grandpa and their grandma listening to the stories and everything. And that didn't last so long. In 1995, everything flipped over. Due to the genocide against the Tutsi that was happening on the other side of our country, Rwanda, so the genocide against the Tutsi spilled over into Congo, and my family, including I'm from Tutsi family, they start being targeted. And take a moment, imagine one of your neighbors, the person you went to school, your best friend, show up at your door, say, hey, with machete and spiked club and spears and guns, hey, if you don't live an hour, you're going to be killed. That's what happened to my family in 1996, I remember in August. So it was raining that day. I remember I was young, but I remember. So my mom, my dad, and my younger sister, Patience, and my older siblings, we took what we had, a little possession, and we started a journey to go to the safest country that was nearby. And the country, we never, as countryside people, we didn't know which way we can go. We didn't know where Rwanda was. We didn't know where Uganda was. It was kind of crazy, and we were living in a very tiny, small village in the rural area of Congo. So we started that journey and trying to head all the way to Rwanda. And from 1996, it took 9 months to get to Rwanda. So running in the forest, trying to hide the killers so that they may not kill us. And during this journey to get to Rwanda, I remember my young sister Patience died of starvation because my mom didn't have milk to produce. But luckily we kept going. Me and my older siblings, we will be able to make it in Rwanda. And in 1996, that's when I started living the real life of being a refugee. So from 1996, I lived in refugee camp, including, I think some of you will read the book. We've been so much things where refugee camp where I was living in, they were attacked twice. The massacre happened there, including all of my best friends and my family members. Some of them, they were killed. So, and then we moved from that refugee camp. The UN evacuated us to another camp called Gihembe. That's where I spent my entire life. So I started my education in refugee camp called Gihembe. I studied under a tree. I didn't have paper, I didn't have notebook, I didn't have nothing. I remember I scratched on my thighs, and when I got home, I tried to figure out what I wrote. Sometimes because I didn't have body lotion, so it was easy for me to read. And I grew up there, and in refugee camp, especially in Rwanda, when you finish 9th grade, you stop there. Unless you got somebody who supports you to go to finish high school. And then I got the opportunity to finish high school from a woman from Kigali. She was working at the bank. She said, I want to support you, and that's how I graduated my high school. And when you graduate high school, you go to college, and if you do well, you go to college. So I got the opportunity I got good grades, and I was admitted at the best university of Rwanda, called University of Rwanda. So I got there, and when I got there, the school told me that I was not eligible for financial aid because I was a refugee. So I came back in refugee camp. I started this program where I was moving from refugee camp to another camp to collect stories of war, rape, and also hope. I remember in Nyabiheke, I think the place where I met Claude, one of our first graduates. So this woman told me about how she was impregnated by her rapist in Congo. And this is the story that she never told her husband. But because the way I tried to make the trust between me and my community more than the way they trusted this international organization, because we knew that as young people and everybody in refugee camp, they brought cameras, these journalists from Western countries interviewed us, but nothing changed in refugee camp. So they started believing in the locals, in refugee themselves, rather than these international communities. So I got opportunity. A man from the United States sent me to college. I graduated in 2016, and 2017, I got the opportunity to come to America, and I graduated my master's from NYU in 2017. So during that time, even though I was a student at NYU, I used to go back in Rwanda, do a lot of work to support my people. I didn't have money, and all my family was still in refugee camp. That's when I went to Rwanda, and I met Jeff, who is the chairman of the board. So I talked there, it was great, and a lot of people, and I say, hey, these people, I believe that a lot of people out there, if you start something amazing, there are a lot of push that you can get. And as I knew I went to a good school like NYU, I had all tools I needed, all resources, and I believe I'm in the best country, America. I say, hey, I can do something, and I believe that the real dream of American dream. And I started that, I say, hey, I quit the job I was doing. I had a very nice job. I say, hey, I'm living in Manhattan, beautiful place, but there are a lot of people left behind. So I went to refugee camp. Me, Jeff, and other people were there doing a lot of community service, and I met that man, Claude, who came to me and said, I graduated in 2015, and it was 2018. So 3 years ago, Claude had a good grades to go to college, but he couldn't go there because he was a refugee. And at that time, I was still, I think, at NYU, and I said, I don't have money to send you to college. What can I do? So when I took my flight all the way from Kigali to New York, that was something I was thinking about. So when I took his contact. When I got to New York, I called him, hey, from tomorrow, go to Kigali, live in Nyabiheke, which is 3 hours away from Kigali, find the best school, the school you want in the country, in Rwanda. I'll make sure I use half for the stipend I use, and I want to make sure at least I send one guy to a college. So that's when Claude decided he packed everything. He went to University of Kigali. He studied business and business information technology. He was going to graduate. He came to America, was resettled in America with only missing, I think he had only 1 month to graduate. That was the first graduate, and I want to say thank you so much for making that happen. So that's how Mondiant Initiative, that's how I started Mondiant Initiative. And now we have other students we're supporting. And most of these students, they were all born refugee camp. Some of them, they left the refugee camp. That's where they spend their entire lives. And they left the camp only when Mondiant Initiative support them to go to Kigali. Now some of them, they're singing in a choir in Kigali, they're good singers. Others are playing basketball. So life is beautiful rather than, when they were in refugee camp. So, and without you guys, I couldn't do this. I start this, but the big push I have is you. I believe in the story of change. And I know a lot of people who flew all the way from Utah, from Minnesota, and other places to support these ideas. So by concluding, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for believing me and believing the people like me and being the voice of voiceless. Thank you so much.
Well, you're going to have to come right back up here because we're going to have our chat and bring Claude along with you. Duncan, if you want to sit here. Hearing your story in person is even more amazing. It's just such an incredible story, and the way that you told it it's almost like it's a very dramatic story, and yet you told it without that drama so that we could actually feel that drama. It's really an extraordinary book. But now, Claude, you haven't written a book, so we need to ask you, what is your story? So tell us about how, your life up to the point of going to university, the point of meeting Dogon. Where were you? How did you end up where you were?
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Claude. I'm here as one of the students who I was about to graduate. Actually, we are in April. In this May, I was about to graduate. So they called me. It was February 24th. They call me UNHCR. They call me, hey, your case has been scheduled to go to United States. I was like, Jesus. I was about to graduate, and then they told me, those are two good news. The good news is to come here in America. The other thing that I've been fighting for 3 years and a half, almost 4 years, and then they said, oh, you need to go to America. I say, is there anything that I can do? Because I really want to graduate, because I already wrote my book, my project. But I say, this coming month, I will be presenting my book. So is any chance that you can push it a little while? He said, no. You either go to America or you stay there. I said, oh, I need to go to America.
And giving you how many days warning?
They told me that, I say, so when? They told me that. I remember I was talking to, that night I talking to Julie.
Julie is one of the volunteers of the organization.
Yeah, I was talking to Julie about asking some questions, and then after that, even Dogon told me that, oh, I'm about to come here there in Africa. I say, oh, welcome, and nice to meet you again. And then they call me, oh, you need to go to America. Only you have 3 days. And then I lived in Kigali. I need to go to see my sister. Is like my mom. So he's my big sister. My big sister is like my mom, my everything to me. So we grow up together. And right now she has 4 kids. Yeah. So we've been through a lot. She didn't have any job to. She always told me, oh, you need to go to school, because from the 1st to 9th grade was for free in Nyabiheke camp. It's eastern part of Rwanda. So he always go to find a job to wash the clothes of some my neighbors, my other people, and then come home, bring some food. So I was kid there that time. And then my sister always told me, oh, you need to go to school. I said, okay, let me go to school. I was very frustrated the day that I was never forget in my life. So I went to school. And then my sister went to one of my students. He was washing the dish, the clothes. And then he said, oh, hey. Sorry.
It's tough remembering these things.
So,
Yeah, I know it's not easy, I think.
yeah. And that time, one of my fellow students said, oh, you know what? Today, if you left the school, you don't have to eat because your sister is our home. He's trying to make something. He's washing dishes, washing our bed sheet and whatever. Then the whole class, the classes I was in the primary, all those students laugh. Oh, bro, you need to stay here. If you go home, there is nothing. And then I was crying that day, and then I got to look at my sister. I said, don't worry, unless I didn't steal anything, so I need to give you food. So at that time, it was hard for us. And then that time, my sister got pregnant. I said that, you know what, I need to stop to study. And he said, no, you need to go to school. So, but I keep going after primary, because when you graduate, when you are finishing from 9th grade to go to the high school, you need to pay. So I didn't have the chance, and I got a chance of church, the Adventist church. They sent me to the private school called Gakoni Adventist College. So I went there. I completed my high school in 2015. So I didn't expect to go to university. So I live in Nyabiheke, helping my sister. Doing some volunteer work to teach in high school, I studied mathematics. I know a little bit English, and I know the computer. So I took them to the salle where we used to see the movie, because in a refugee, we had one TV. So at evening, in the weekend, all of the 300 kids, we need to go there to watch movie. So that time I remember, I forget the movie of Rainbow. We used to watch the movie of Rainbow. So it was 2015, helping the kids to how to run, to ride, because most of them, they didn't attend this class. So I remember in 2018, so the Dogon came with the other American. I think Jeff was there too. So when they say, oh, the American people, they are here. So all of us, we ran, say, hey, hello, how are you? And then we didn't know, because at the first time, I didn't know that they're going to speak in Rwanda. Because I saw it with the American guys, and then, hey, with my broken English, hey, how are you? Good? Hi.
Maybe you thought I was African American.
Yeah. And then he said, in our language, to say, how you doing? He said, I'm a Kruan. I was like, hey, you speak in your language? He said, okay. And he said, where do you live? I said, I live here. I tell him everything about me. And then he said, okay, I can't do nothing. I remember the time you gave me 5,000. And then he gave me the money, 5,000. I said, okay, I can't do nothing, but here you can have this. Then I took the money to my sister. He went to the grocery to buy some food. And then I didn't know. And then he came in America. And then after time, I saw he called me. Hey, are you still willing to go to study? I said, this is a miracle. Yeah, sure. He said, okay, you need to find you need to go to Kigali. By the way, I have never been in Kigali. I don't even know anything about. Kigali is a city. I don't know how to use elevator, to cook in microwave. I don't even know everything. So it was my first time. So I went there. You know, to adjust is really hard in the city. So I went there my first year, my second year, my third year, until I came in America. They resettled me in Atlanta, Georgia. So 1 week in America was a hell week.
You know, can I ask just a show of hands, how many people have lived abroad? So, lots of the people here. I know for myself, I have several times lived abroad. Each time, everything has been sort of arranged for me. You know, I had an office to go to, I had an apartment, and yet it was really tough, right? The adjustment, everything else. Claude, you were telling me you were just sort of dumped in Atlanta, not knowing a single person, after 3 days' notice. Some people, it take 3 days to even pack just for a trip, right? So not for your whole life, just for a trip. And then dumped in Atlanta, not knowing anyone, a caseworker who says, oh, here's some food, here's a place to sleep.
You need to cook.
Yeah, you'll need to cook that food too, yeah. And not even, you know, you were saying about like, it wasn't even food I was familiar with. It was like, yeah, right, for Americans it'd be like, okay, you have a choice of hamburgers or pizza, right? So, I mean, I just can imagine, you know, so many of us have been there moving abroad. Can you imagine with the background that you've had, the life that you've had, it was the first time you were on a plane,
yes,
you had said, and to be dumped in Atlanta. And thank goodness that Dogon then said, come up to my family in North Carolina. So, Dogon, I want to come to you because now Claude is the first of the students that you sent, but you have 2 others. And first of all, so you have 3. So tell us a little bit about the others.
So I think these 2 girls and 1 boy, they're doing law and finance and another one business. So these are students from different refugee camps. So we have 5 refugee camps. So we decided to select in each refugee camp, we select 1 student, 1 girl and 1 boy.
Yeah. And you know, one thing that I always think is really interesting in people whose lives are like yours, where you know you've sort of come out of something where there are so few who do. What is it that you think made it so that you did? Were you smarter than others, more perseverant, just sort of more ornery, where you weren't going to take the party line? Like, what was it that made you move out when others weren't able to?
I think I was not smarter. I was not the smartest kid. I think I left the smartest in refugee camp. So it was, I think, what made me kind of do it is like all these faces you are seeing in front of us. The push they do and the people who believe in you while the world tells you otherwise. So those are the only thing that was kind of a push or that makes me, like people support you and believe in your vision.
Yeah. And what was it about Claude that made you say, this guy I got to really follow here?
When I went there, I was with Jeff and other people, and I say, he told me all this story about his sister. He didn't have parents and everything, and that's why when he was talking, he maybe kind of that emotional. He didn't have parents. He doesn't know their parents, his parents. So it was not easy growing up in refugee camp where you live on dependency rather than independency. So he told me all the story and he showed me his grades he got in high school. He was fantastic. And he said I was not be able to go to college because I'm a refugee. I say all the way when I came, I remember the grades he studied in high school. He studied maths, economics, and geography. Mathematics, economics, and geography, and he performed really well. He got only A. So when I came to New York, I said, I want to support that guy. He's smart. He told me all his story. That's how I ended up with Claude.
That's amazing. You know, one of the things, and I hope I'm not giving too much away in the book, but one of the most dramatic parts of the book is, you know, you work so hard to do the exams. And I love that you didn't just work for yourself to do it, but you brought everybody else along with you. And it's really an amazing story of helping everybody else to study, because a Catholic charity, and I shouldn't just say it was a Catholic charity, but any charity this could have happened with, had said they would support you.
Yeah, I think
And then,
I want to give a shout out to some of the people I see. It's called the Jesuit Refugee Service. So I was studying under the tree, my education, as I said. So I see the people. I see Kevin and Julia, so they are there. Shout out to you guys. So these are the people who, the first notebook and the first pen was them who gave me. So I didn't have notebook, everything. So that was the time I started seeing, hey, there are a lot of people who believe in me and my vision, and I kept going.
yeah. No, but you talk also in your book, and I love the nuances of it, of the gratefulness of having those things, and at the same time, the frustration with a lot of it. One thing that I felt from reading the book, and so many people work in this field, for me, I felt like it was sort of like a mirror that you could look at yourself in and say, yeah, was I helping or hurting in those situations? How was that really, you know? So how do you see international assistance? And what I think is special about this is it is an African-led initiative, you know, and how does that make it different?
So that's why I think I started Mondiant Initiative. One of the reasons I went to NYU, which is one of the great schools in the world. And so I started Mondiant Initiative to challenge these institutions. You're not going to design the theory of change sitting at Harvard thinking that it's going to work out. You know, so that's what happened. A lot of cameras like this came in refugee camp, interviewing us, but nothing changed. And all of these people, most of them, they were coming from Western countries. But if you find somebody who sit there, who grab there, they know a lot of things. And that's why if you go to Rwanda, I remember whenever I go to Rwanda, I think before the COVID hit, I went to Rwanda, and a lot of people came at the airport with the banner or with my name on it. And when I landed, the police and TSA at the airport, they thought it was Jay-Z who came to Rwanda. And when the police saw me, maybe like a celebrity was coming, and they saw me, a skinny guy, black guy. I said, who's that? Is it an artist? Is a rapper? And I was kind of with jeans, and they said, no, he's our son. He goes to school in America. So I think these people have build a trust between me and this community rather than these international organizations. So that's why when I say they do really great, these organizations, they gave me what I needed. But yeah, it's up to now it is the right time to take the people who knows everything about who have that experience and integrate them into what they're doing. For example, I received the email from the UN Refugee Agency boss, Filippo Grandi, and he said, I read your book, and from now on, we are going to start integrate refugees in every program we do. So that was amazing.
Really interesting. For you, how much of a difference did it make for you that Dogon has gone through this experience, that he understood you? Like, how much did that really make a difference for you in working with?
Working with the Dogon?
Yeah.
First of all, Dogon and the board of Mondiant Initiative, I owe them. I can't just say my life, but I owe them a lot. You couldn't imagine how they changed my life. Until I get here in America, they stay helping me. They say that God exists, but God is not coming from heaven to here. It's working from in the people. So the God talked to the Dogon and the staff and the board of Mondiant Initiative to provide me what I need. That time I really need the God to help me. So I can't just say working with the Dogon. I really understand, and I can do everything for, if I could or if I can, I can do everything for Mondiant Initiative. Yeah, and I really want to thank you. Imagine coming in America, it was a miracle. Imagine, yeah, I did well in high school, but after 3 years, 2015, 2016, 2017, there was a lot of kids that they perform well. But I was lucky to that day because I've been following them, I've been following them, and I got the chance to talk to him. That day, the miracle happened. Since that day, even in my high school, I remember the doggone, he came and said, okay, he give me everything. He said, okay, do you have shoes? Everything. He paid for the shoes, even from down to here. He paid me everything. I said, he's not my mother. He's not my father. Who are you? So I can do everything to Mondiant Initiative if I can.
So much, Claude.
All right, thanks, sir.
You know, and Dogon, we had talked earlier, and I think the big question for me that really left me with reading your book was, there's got to be a better way. You know, I love the title of your book. You all will be getting it, but those we throw away are diamonds. And that actually came from a poem. I was telling you earlier, I must be slow because I didn't realize it was your poem until later in the book when he said, and so I started writing poetry. Like, what else does this guy do in the middle of a refugee camp? Jeez, this guy's doing everything. But that came from a poem of yours, and it really, to me, this is the crux of it. You have extraordinary people like the two of you that are in refugee camps. You have several people that we all know. Donald Kaberuka, the former head of the African Development Bank, was a refugee. The president of Rwanda was a refugee. There are several people that we know that are famous economists, politicians, policymakers. They could have been diamonds that are thrown away. And so isn't there a better way that we could be doing this? Like, from having gone through this experience, what do we need to do?
I think we already started. I think everybody, each of us who is in this room has already started. So, you know, it's a beautiful day outside. So everybody should be out there hanging in the park. And this is clean. It's cleaner than New York because there are no piles of garbage. So everybody should be there. But taking the time, the busy schedule, and showing up, I think they already started. So what I think everybody can do, or what we can all do, is believe in what we see. Believe in these people we think they're nothing. Believe in them, invest in them, supporting them, and you see the world will be a better place for all of us.
Yeah, no, that's really well put. Well, we want to give everybody time to really get to know the two of you, to come up and chat with you. So we have decided to have a somewhat short program so that there'll be lots of time because we are doing friendship and fundraising, and let's not forget about that last part. So we are going to have Ambassador Gregory Newell. Where is he? Well, huh?
We are leaving.
Actually, I think we'll just, yeah. So, yes, Ambassador, please come up. So, thank you so much. And we will have you come up, but you will be here to chat. And Ambassador Gregory Newell is a friend and advisor of the Mondiant Initiative, U.S. Ambassador to Sweden, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, Special Assistant to Presidents, and from Nixon. Like, you've been in several administrations. It's really extraordinary. So we will have a few wise words from you, and then we'll do the final ask.
In some ways, being we're most of us internationalists here, he's kind of the male version of Queen Victoria, who was the grandmother to all of the Europe nobles. Well, we are all of the descendants, in many ways, of Bill Fanjoy. When I would ask you, what brings you here? Instantaneously, it was invitation from Bill Fanjoy, or, in my case, I was directed to be here. As I was flying in last night from Salt Lake City, over in my mind, I went through my own life, as I invite each of you to go through your lives to see what has formed your responsibility for one another. My mind went back to when I was 7 years old. We had moved from a small village in Illinois, 600 people, to a large metropolis of 6,000, 13 miles away. It was our parents' first home purchased by them. And it was strange because the home had previously been purchased by people, groups of people just like ourselves here, who cobbled together to buy that home for a refugee family from Hungary. I was 7 years old. And I felt empathy even then for someone who was chased away, ran away with fear, with hunger, with pain, with longing to belong somewhere where it was safe. Almost always, I found in my years in government here as assistant secretary, that virtually every refugee with whom I have spoken had a common answer to why risk your lives as you did. Invariably, through now 40 years, the answer was our children. We will do anything to provide a better future. And a better future isn't just tummies filled today. I've been to refugee camps throughout the world, working with Paul Hartling, who was then the commissioner of UNHCR, a former prime minister of Denmark, followed by Jean-Pierre Hoquet from Switzerland as the commissioner. And invariably, we've talked about food, shelter, safety. But we're here not just to take care of our bodies, we're here to develop our minds to serve one another. I'm reminded of a book I read in college at Brigham Young University, a French course, Terre des Hommes, by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He's an observer post-World War II. He's forced into a train that was packed to the gills and beyond with conditions that Doggone has shared with us and Claude here today. And he's observing as he's looking across the train car at the next generation. And he said they all have such potential, but it's going to be in each one of their lives Mozart's, talented, bright, capable, gifted, Mozart's assassinated. If he would have seen Doggone, which you will read about here in his partial life story, most of the story isn't yet told. When this was given to me hot off the press by our mutual friend and beloved brother, Bill Fanjoy, I was so seized by it that in the first sitting I read 173 pages, and my English is pretty good. And I pondered, and again, reflecting back to when I was 7, and then through the time serving as Assistant Secretary of State responsible for U.S. multilateral foreign policy, which had 40% of the State Department's budget, largest bureau in the State Department at the time. And we had a very strict policy from the president, then Ronald Reagan, of zero net program growth and absorption of discretionary costs. You probably went through that, Bill, here. And I presented to the president and to his 3 Baker Meeson Devers chiefs of staff there that I will fully support, as I do mentally, emotionally, politically, and economically, that policy given the challenges we've got in multilateralism now, 96 different organizations here. But I ask for dispensation to exempt UNHCR and, in effect, its companion, UNICEF, from these policies. And the president, through the National Security Council, approved of that, and on we went. The difference between Antoine d'Exupéry, who's one of my favorite poets and writers here, and Dogon is Antoine was an observer. Dogon has been a participant. And I commit to Bill, our godfather here, and to the chairman of the board, Jeff, and board members, and to other volunteers, that I will dedicate my time and efforts in the same eleemosynary way to support the vision and the mission, the strategy and the execution plan, greatly detailed by Tui and her associates. I invite you to join with Bill and with me and with others who have already committed themselves publicly as well as privately to do what we can. And when we consider the consequences of these little things of being here tonight, this is no little thing. When I consider the consequences of little things, a 96-year-old friend of mine said, when I consider the consequences of little things, there are no little things. May we find time, talent, gift, resource, however small or however large, to see more Dogons and Claudes with here the next time we meet. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That was really just so moving. You know, one of the things in journalism that we do, it's what a friend of mine calls poverty porn. We talk all about poverty and we tell these horrible stories and everyone gets really engaged in it, but you can't do anything about it. Now, today we are talking about the opposite. We're really talking about opportunity. And we're talking about creating opportunity and being able to help make that happen. So again, we are here for friendship, we are here for fundraising, and we are here to engage. We are here to engage with Dogon, with Claude, and with the greater initiative. And I want to talk a little bit about how to engage. So first of all, you have the QR code here, you have it on the tables. I think you have it almost everywhere you could possibly look. Very good to the comms person. But if you go on there, you will see more about the initiative. It will also direct you to several different ways in which you can engage. This is not just about money. You know, sometimes there's organizations are just sort of there with their hand out waiting for money, and you're like, I don't even know you. Like, why would I get involved with you yet? So I'm saying, look, you can put a toe in, you can put your whole foot in, you can just jump in the deep end, however you want to do it, but we hope that you will engage. Now in the back, again, there are the flip charts, and you can put your name on those, and you can check off the things that you would like to be involved in. and somebody from the Mondiant Initiative will get in touch with you. I do want the board members to stand. Bill, you are already standing. I love that you've gone from our brother to our godfather. And I was waiting for what next the ambassador was going to say. But can we have the board members, because so many people are standing, maybe you can just come up so we can see who you are. We want you to see them and be sure to come and talk to them. Make sure to know. And Tui, come up too. So Tui, come up too. These are the people that tonight, as you are mingling, as you are enjoying the time together, make sure to have a chat with one of them, and get their cards. I actually even have cards from the foundation that I can give with that QR code. So, and be sure to come and talk to them. There are things, just being involved. The initiative right now, the hope is to have to start with World Refugee Day, the initiative, and really formally that launch it. The hope is to send 50 students to college. If you're worried about how much it costs to send your own child to college, just think $6,000. That's all. You can see I did a whole year of college. Well, it wasn't for my kid, but somebody for $6,000. So, and there's so many other ways. Again, buy the book. We have them outside. You can do it on the QR code. Sponsor a book club. This was a great idea that you had, and you did it with your book club, and I love that, and I think that's a great way. Social media fundraising, as the birthday boy has done, and corporate giving, and endowing a scholarship. Again, $6,000, what a deal. So with that, I want to again thank the board, thank Bill for organizing everything, and especially thank Doggone and Claude for being with us, and Doggone for all that you're doing here. And I hope that everyone will enjoy mingling, fundraising, friendship, and engaging. So with that, thank you so much for being here.